Let's talk about finding a place for longer term. We will touch on the following topics in this part: where and when to find a place, renting a room, advantages and disadvantages of shared accommodation, renting a place just for yourself, tips and tricks during the search process, what to check before you apply and sign a contract, what to check after moving in, renegotiating your rent after the initial contract period. As soon as you set foot on Australian land, start looking for permanent accommodation immediately. You can search on the internet. The two major sites are realestate.com.au and domain.com.au. Turn up for open homes, and if you like what you see, submit an application. Almost all places available are on these two sites. Apart from these two major sites, you may find available rentals on the websites of the real estate agencies. Sometimes they place the ad quicker on their site before they advertise it on Domain or realestate.com. If you see something you would like to inspect, it is worth calling the agency and ask for a date. It is also possible that they will organize a private inspection for you if you sound serious enough on the phone, and if they were not advertised on realestate.com.au. If you're lucky and already have a job, you can ask your boss to provide a verbal or written reference for you. It is also useful to get a statement from the bank where you initially opened an account to verify that you have enough money to cover a couple of months' rent. If you had any phone bills or utilities you paid here in Australia, for example during your short-term rental, these invoices can also be added to the application. When we knew that we would be moving to Sydney, we rented a serviced apartment for 3 weeks. We also rented a car to be mobile. We started to look for a more permanent home right after we arrived because time flies and 3 weeks are not that long. We inspected about 15 to 20 apartments in Sydney until we found the one we liked. It is important to mention that in Sydney, 99% of the homes are only open on Wednesday and on Saturday. You need to arrive on time, as you only have a 15-minute window to inspect the property, together with the other 2 to 10 people who are also looking at the place at the same time. Then, you quickly move on to the next place you have on your list, and you have another 15-minute opportunity to check the property and decide if you want to apply or not. Where and when to find a place. 95% of rentals are done through real estate agencies and in person. Approximately 5% of the properties are offered directly by the owners on Gumtree and Airbnb. Prices are usually higher in summer, which is from December to February in Australia. Airbnb can cost double price due to the tourist season and the higher demand, especially in seaside suburbs. You can achieve the best prices during winter, between June and August. There are less tourists during these colder months on the East Coast. It covers Sydney, Melbourne, Canberra and further south. There are more places available for rental. If you rent an apartment in winter, you can save about $1,000 to $2,000 per year. The rental prices are quite high in Australia. This expense will be the biggest portion of your monthly budget. As an example, Sydney is the 9th most expensive city for renting in the world. The following table shows you the median rent in major Australian metropolitan cities per week. Advertised prices for apartments and houses are always weekly prices. Most of the time, they include water usage, except if the place has a separate meter for water. The other utility costs, electricity, gas, internet, will be on top of your weekly rental. Regarding utilities, it is your choice with whom you want to enter into a service agreement. There are great comparison sites and also government information to find the best electricity and gas prices. If you choose well, you can save a lot. We can talk about this in more details in a later cost of living chapter. Prices can significantly differ suburb by suburb. Check out public transport, road connections, and how quickly you can reach your workplace, school, shopping centers. Google Maps can be very useful for this. An example, if you move to Sydney, but this is true for any metropolitan city, and you pick Parramatta to rent a place. Parramatta is 25 kilometers from the city center, and if you have a job there, the commute can be 1 to 2 hours one way, depending on traffic and which road or mode of transport you choose. The rental is about 20-25% cheaper there, but you see more traffic every day. Time is money. Another factor that influences rental prices is how far you are from the beach. The further you are, the lower is your rent. The most expensive rentals are in the city and in the seaside suburbs. If these are not that important for you, you can find nice homes in outer areas. If you have good public transport, for example train, that can make the commute faster and more convenient. Bear in mind that public transport in the major metropolitan cities in Australia cannot be compared to Europe or Asia. It is much worse here. Less trains, less lines and options. Hence, a lot of people use cars, and the roads can be very congested. Renting a room, advantages and disadvantages of shared accommodation. If you are on a budget, you can save money if you rent a room only. You need to contact the person who is looking for a flatmate. You can find room rentals on Gumtree. Usually this person has a rental contract with the real estate agency. When you rent a room, the price includes utilities and internet, but you do not have any formal contract with the agency. It is also possible that these rooms are furnished. One thing less to worry about. The advantages of renting a room is that it is quite flexible. Because you do not have a formal contract, you can terminate the rental anytime. You are also not responsible for taking much care of the condition of the apartment. This is with the person who rented the place from the agency. The disadvantage is that you cannot choose who you live with, especially if you are under time pressure to find something. You have a short chat with your future flatmate, and you need to decide based on this conversation if you can imagine living together. You share the living room, kitchen, and bathroom if there is only one. This can be a source of conflicts. Another option is that you rent a 2 to 3 bedroom apartment yourself and you advertise for a flatmate. In this case, you have more say who you want to live with. You decide about the room prices and you can decrease your costs. If you rent a bigger apartment, you can significantly optimize your own costs. The disadvantage of this option is that you have more risks. If your flatmate moves out, you need to be able to pay full rent until you find a new one. This could be weeks or a month. You are also responsible for the condition of the place. Additional option is to rent a granny flat. Look for these ads directly from the owners on Gumtree as well. A granny flat is a separate unit not connected to the main dwelling. It has its own bathroom, kitchen, and some bedroom space. Usually the owner is living in the main home and they have a granny flat in the backyard or next to the main house. The advantage is that prices are better than an apartment rental, and you can use the garden and the pool if there is one. A granny flat has a separate entrance, and the rental cost includes all utilities and internet. Everything has two sides, of course. You use the common parts of the property, garden, pool, together with the owner and his/her family. Renting a place just for yourself. Tips and tricks during the search process. As discussed earlier, the first step is to jump on the internet to search for rentals. When you have your selection, it's worth creating an order by opening times. Check on the map if you can get to these addresses by when they are open. You will experience that the properties you like may be shown at the same time, so it's mission impossible to view them all. Prioritize your list based on geographical location, floor plan, size, features, and facing. Be prepared. The photos on the ad are usually edited, and you may experience completely different quality, mostly worse when you see the property live. You do not need to call the agency in advance to book the inspection. It's enough if you simply turn up at the address. You will notice the sign of the agency displayed in front of the property. The owner, or if the property is tenanted, is not present during the inspection. The agent will take your name, phone number at the entrance. They need to demonstrate to the owner how many people inspected the property. They will also need your contact details later, if you plan to apply. If you are interested and would like to rent the place, you can ask the agent to give you the application form. Alternatively, you can download the form from the website or fill it in online. Attach all additional documents you may have to prove that you are a good client. Bank account statement, earlier bills, if any. If many people apply, the agent will compile the documents in a few days and will notify the successful applicant. First impression is important, especially if there are many people interested in the property. The agent will decide who can move in, will check who has stable and regular income, a well-paid profession, or how many family members will occupy the place. As mentioned earlier, once you are the chosen one, they will check references. They can call your workplace and check the information on the application form. If you rented before, they can also check with the previous agency if you paid your rent on time. If you are new to Australia, you can name your supervisor if you have a job already, or your school teacher if you are enrolled in a course as referees. It is worth letting them know in advance that they can expect a phone call from the real estate agent. Many people are not aware that if there are plenty of applicants fighting for the same popular property, you can offer $10 to $30 more per week to increase your chances of winning. The agent should contact the landlord and pass on this information. If you look reliable, you have a good chance that you will get the property. The rental advertisements also list the amount of bond that you need to pay immediately if you are the successful applicant. The bond is usually 4 weeks' rent. It is a security deposit and it is sent to a government account by the agent. The agent will lodge the bond and will give you a receipt. The bond is paid back to you when you vacate the property if no money is owed for rent or any damages. If you are an untidy tenant and you damage the carpet, as an example, the amount used for repairing or renovating this will be deducted from the bond and you will receive less. In most cases, you will get all the bond back if you clean the property thoroughly, including windows, carpet, oven, appliances. You can do it yourself or hire a cleaning company. Many of them guarantee that you will get 100% of your bond back.